I walked into my own funeral on a Tuesday afternoon. The flowers were fresh, the programs were printed, and my sister was standing at the front of the room, dabbing her eyes with a tissue, telling everyone how much she'd miss me. She stopped mid-sentence when our eyes met. They'd planned the service. They'd picked out the casket display. They'd even written the eulogy. The only thing they forgot to do was make sure I was actually dead. And now I was standing in the doorway, very much alive, watching every mask in that room slip off at once. In the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you how my own family decided I was dead without confirmation, without waiting, without even trying very hard to find me. How they moved from unreachable to funeral arrangements in less than 72 hours. And how I discovered that the people who should have been searching for me were instead dividing up what I'd left behind. This isn't a story about faking my death. I didn't plan this. I didn't disappear on purpose. What happened was a perfect storm of circumstance, miscommunication, and convenience. Because some people weren't confused about whether I was alive. They just preferred the version of reality where I wasn't. This is the story of how I let them commit to that lie, how I gathered the truth while they gathered for my memorial, and how I walked back into that room at the exact moment they thought they'd finally written me out of my own story. It's not violent revenge. It's not screaming or confrontation or physical harm. It's something quieter and more devastating. Simple act of showing up when you've been erased and watching everyone realize they can't take it back. Let me tell you how it happened. My name is Claire. I was 34 years old when this happened. Single, no kids, working as a project manager for a mid-sized construction company. I lived alone in a small house I bought 3 years earlier, a fixer-upper that I'd slowly been renovating on weekends. My family situation was complicated. That's probably an understatement. My mother passed away when I was 26. My father remarried 2 years later to a woman named Denise, who had a daughter from a previous marriage named Lisa. Lisa was technically my stepsister, but we'd never been close. She was 5 years younger than me and had a very different relationship with my father than I did. Here's the thing about my dad. He was never great at standing up to people. He wanted peace at any cost, and Denise was the kind of person who made sure peace came at her price. Over the years, I'd watched my relationship with my father get slowly suffocated. Family dinners became awkward. Holiday invitations became suggestions that I should give them space. Phone calls got shorter. Eventually, I realized I was being managed out of my own family, not through any dramatic confrontation, but through 1,000 small exclusions. I didn't fight it. Maybe I should have, but I had my own life, my own home, my own routines. I told myself that distance was healthier than conflict, that I didn't need their approval to live my life. What I didn't realize was that distance also made me vulnerable. Because when something went wrong, there was no one in that house advocating for me, no one asking questions, no one making sure the story being told was actually true. The incident happened in late October. I was driving back from a work conference about 4 hours away. It was late past 10 at night, and I was on a rural highway when a deer ran in front of my car. Car went off the road and down a steep embankment, rolling twice before it stopped against a tree. I don't remember the impact. I remember the headlights spinning, the sound of metal and glass, and then nothing. When I woke up, I was in a hospital bed in a small regional medical center about an hour from the crash site. It was 3 days later. I had a concussion, a broken wrist, and enough bruising to make me look like I'd lost a fight with gravity. But I was alive. The first thing I did when I was coherent enough to think was ask for my phone. The nurse told me they hadn't found one at the scene. It had probably been destroyed or thrown from the car during the rollover. My wallet was recovered, but my phone was gone. I asked to use the hospital phone. Called my dad's number, the only one I had memorized. It went to voicemail. I left a message. Dad, it's Claire. I was in an accident, but I'm okay. I'm at Riverside Regional Medical Center. Call me back when you get this. He didn't call back. I tried again the next day. Same result. Voicemail, voicemail, voicemail. No response. I assumed he was busy, or his phone was off, or something was wrong on his end. I wasn't panicking yet. I was still groggy from the concussion and focused on my own recovery. On the 4th day, a nurse came into my room with an odd expression. Claire, there's something you should know. Your family has been contacted. What do you mean contacted? There was apparently some confusion. A local news outlet ran a brief story about the accident. Your car was found, but you weren't, not immediately. You were transported by a different ambulance service due to a jurisdictional issue, and there was a delay in matching your records. During that window, your family was notified that there was a fatality at the scene. My stomach dropped. They think I'm dead? We've corrected the information officially, but I wanted to make sure you knew. I asked to use the phone again. This time I tried my father's house line. Denise answered. Her voice was calm. Too calm. Who is this? Denise, it's Claire. I'm alive. I'm at the hospital. There was a mix-up with the reports. I've been trying to reach Dad. There was a long pause. Then, in a tone I'll never forget, flat, almost annoyed, she said, Claire, the funeral is in 2 days. We've already made arrangements. And then she hung up. I sat there holding the receiver for what felt like 5 minutes. The dial tone buzzed in my ear like static. The funeral is in 2 days. Not, oh my God, you're alive. Not, we're so relieved. Not, let me get your father. Just, we've already made arrangements. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe she was in shock. Maybe she didn't believe it was really me. Maybe the connection was bad. Something in her voice told me the truth. She wasn't confused. She wasn't relieved. She was inconvenienced. The nurse helped me make a few more calls. I reached my cousin Rachel, one of the few family members I still trusted. She was stunned. She'd heard I was dead from Denise herself. The story was that I died in the crash, that my body had been recovered, and that the family was handling arrangements privately. Claire, they sent out a notice. They booked a venue. Lisa's been posting about it online. They're acting like this is final. Did anyone try to confirm it? Did anyone call the hospital? The coroner? Anyone? Rachel was quiet. I don't think so. They just moved. That night, lying in my hospital bed with a broken wrist and a phone I'd borrowed from a nurse, I started to understand what had happened. They hadn't been fooled. They'd been eager. A body assumed to be me. And instead of waiting for confirmation, instead of demanding answers, instead of looking for me, they'd taken the first opportunity to close the book. Because I was easier to manage as a memory. My share of my mother's inheritance is still tied up in a trust. My relationship with my father already weakened. My presence at holidays already uncomfortable. I wasn't a daughter to them anymore. I was an obstacle. And now they were 2 days away from making it official. I had a choice. I could call them again, demand they stop. Get a lawyer involved immediately and turn the next 48 hours into chaos. Or I could let them finish, let them stand in that funeral home, let them give their speeches, let them perform their grief in front of everyone they'd invited. And then I could walk in and show them what a mistake really looks like. I checked myself out of the hospital against medical advice. The doctor wasn't happy about it, but I was stable enough to move, and I had things to do. Rachel picked me up. She was the only person I told, the only one I trusted completely. On the drive to her apartment, I explained everything. The phone call with Denise, the funeral arrangements already in motion, the silence from my father. This is insane. They can't just hold a funeral for someone who isn't dead. Apparently they can, as long as no one asks questions. The first thing I did was get information. Rachel helped me log into social media from her laptop. What I found made my stomach turn. Lisa had posted a tribute post. A photo of me from years ago with a long caption about how sudden and tragic my passing was, about how the family is devastated and asking for privacy during this difficult time. The comments were full of condolences, friends I hadn't heard from in years, old coworkers, distant relatives, all of them believing I was gone. I scrolled further, found a public event listing for a memorial service for Claire Weston. The location was a funeral home chapel about 20 minutes from my father's house. The date was Saturday at 2 o'clock, 2 days away. 53 hours, give or take. I started documenting everything. Screenshots of Lisa's post, the event listing, the condolence comments. I didn't know yet what I'd need, but I knew I wanted a record. Rachel asked me what I was planning. I'm going to let them hold the funeral, and then I'm going to show up. Over the next day and a half, I gathered as much information as I could. Rachel had a friend who worked at the funeral home. Not someone I knew directly, but someone willing to ask a few quiet questions. What she found out confirmed what I already suspected. The service had been arranged by Denise. My father had signed off, but he wasn't the one making decisions. Lisa was listed as the family contact for logistics. No one from the funeral home had spoken to me, requested a death certificate, or verified anything beyond the initial news report and the family's word. That part made me furious. But it also made sense. People don't usually lie about someone being dead. Funeral homes aren't investigators. They trust the family. What I learned next was worse. Rachel managed to get into a private family group chat through a cousin who was still on good terms with Denise's side. The messages were revealing. Most of them were logistical. Who was bringing food? Who was sitting where? But buried in the thread were a few messages that made my blood run cold. What happens with the house? Is that part of the estate? We'll figure it out after the service. Don't bring it up in front of people. Dad said she had a trust from her mom. Do we know what's in it? They weren't mourning, they were inventorying. I sat on Rachel's couch with the laptop open, staring at those words. A trust from my mother, my house, my things, my life already being divided in a group chat 2 days after they heard I might be dead. That was the moment I stopped feeling hurt and started feeling strategic. These weren't grieving relatives. They were scavengers. And the only reason they'd moved so fast was because they thought no one was watching. But I was watching now. I spent the next 24 hours preparing. First, I needed to be medically stable enough to walk into that room without collapsing. My wrist was in a cast and I still had visible bruising on my face and arms. I wasn't at full strength, but I could move. I could stand, I could speak. That was enough. Second, I needed a witness. Rachel would come with me, but I wanted someone else, someone with more authority, someone whose presence would make it harder for Denise to spin the situation. I called the attorney who had handled my mother's trust years ago. Explained the situation. He was stunned. You're telling me your family is holding a funeral for you right now while you're alive. That's exactly what I'm telling you. He agreed to meet me at the venue on Saturday. Not to intervene legally, not yet, but to witness. To be a credible third party who could confirm what happened in that room. Third, I prepared myself emotionally. This wasn't going to be easy. Walking into that room meant facing people who had written me off. It meant watching their reactions in real time. It meant confronting the possibility that my father, the man who raised me, had let this happen without lifting a finger. I thought about backing out a dozen times. Thought about just calling a lawyer, sending a cease and desist, and letting the legal system handle it. But that wouldn't be enough. Legal letters happen behind closed doors. Courts take months. By the time anything official happened, they'd have had time to rewrite the story, to claim it was all a misunderstanding, to paint themselves as victims of confusion rather than architects of erasure. I wanted them to see my face. I wanted everyone in that room to see my face. No lawyers first. No letters first. Just me walking through that door alive. And then we'd see what happened to their carefully constructed narrative. Saturday came cold and gray. The kind of October afternoon where the sky looks like static. Rachel drove. I sat in the passenger seat, staring out the window, running through scenarios in my head. What I'd say, how they'd react. What I'd do if my father broke down, or if Denise tried to throw me out, or if Lisa caused a scene. We pulled into the funeral home parking lot at exactly 2 o'clock. The service was scheduled to start on the hour. I wanted to arrive at the precise moment when everyone was seated, when the room was full, and there was no way to hide, to happen. The building was a white colonial-style chapel with dark shutters. A small sign by the entrance read, Memorial Service Claire Weston Chapel B. My name, on a placard, directing mourners to my funeral. I stood there for a moment, just looking at it, feeling the surreal weight of seeing your own name associated with your own death. Rachel touched my arm. You okay? No, but I'm ready. We walked toward the entrance. My attorney, a gray-haired man named David, was waiting near the door. Through the narrow windows beside the door, I could see the chapel, rows of wooden pews, flower arrangements on either side. A large photo of me smiling from some family event years ago displayed on an easel at the front, and sitting in those pews, dressed in black, were about 40 people. Some I recognized, but some I didn't. Denise was in the front row, Lisa beside her, my father next to Denise, looking smaller than I remembered. And at the podium, just starting to speak, was Lisa, about to deliver a eulogy for someone who was standing 10 feet away. I pushed the door open. Hinges creaked and the sound cut through Lisa's voice like a blade. Heads turned. A few people in the back row saw me first, and their faces froze. Lisa kept talking for another half second, unaware. And Claire would have wanted us to remember her as... Then she saw me. Her mouth stopped moving. The color drained from her face like someone had pulled a plug. She gripped the sides of the podium like it was the only thing keeping her upright. I walked down the center aisle slowly, deliberately. Every step a heartbeat. The room went silent. Not quiet, silent, the kind of silence that presses on your eardrums. I could hear the creak of pews as people turned. I could hear someone's sharp intake of breath. When I reached the front of the room, I stopped. I looked at Lisa, then at Denise, then at my father. I heard you were looking for me. No one spoke. No one moved. Then Denise stood up. Her face had cycled through shock, fear, and something like fury in the span of 3 seconds. She forced a smile, thin, brittle, completely unconvincing. Claire, oh my God, we thought we were told there was an accident. You were not told I was confirmed dead. I left voicemails. I called the house. I spoke to you directly, Denise. 4 days ago. The murmur that rippled through the room was like a wave. Wait. She called. Denise's smile flickered. There was confusion. The hospital. The reports. There was no confusion. There was a choice. And you made it. Lisa stepped down from the podium, trying to regain some control of the situation. Claire, this isn't the time or place. You're clearly upset, and we should talk privately. Privately, you made a public event out of my death, Lisa. Posted tributes online. You collected condolences. You invited people to watch you mourn someone who wasn't dead. This is exactly the time and place. I turned to my father. Dad, he flinched. You didn't try to reach me. Not once. I was in a hospital for 4 days, confused, hurt, waiting for someone to call back. And you were here, planning this, signing papers, letting her run the show. They said you were gone, he whispered. Did you check? Did you demand confirmation? Did you ask to see anything official before you started picking out flower arrangements? He didn't answer. For the record, my client, Miss Claire Weston, is very much alive. She was hospitalized following a vehicle accident, recovered, and made multiple documented attempts to contact her family. Those calls were not returned. The service being held here today was arranged without confirmation of death, without legal documentation, and without any effort to verify the reported information. This will be noted in any future legal proceedings. The murmurs grew louder. People pulled out phones. A woman in the back row stood up and walked out, shaking her head, stared at Denise with undisguised disgust. The narrative was collapsing in real time. Denise tried one more time. Claire, this has all been a terrible misunderstanding. We were grieving. We were overwhelmed. If you'd just let us explain. Explain what? The group chat where you asked about my house? The messages about my mother's trust? The speed with which you moved from news report to service programs? Her face went white. You weren't grieving, Denise. You were clearing the board. For the first time, I saw Lisa look genuinely afraid, not of me, but of the room, of the witnesses, of the dozens of people now watching her family's carefully constructed performance fall apart. I didn't care. I'd already won. Not because I'd shouted, not because I'd threatened, not because I'd done anything dramatic. I'd simply shown up, alive, in front of everyone they'd lied to. That was the moment when every person in that room understood what had really happened. Not a tragedy, not a misunderstanding, a calculation, and it had failed. The service didn't continue after that. People filtered out slowly. Some approached me quietly, hugging me, whispering that they were glad I was okay, clearly disturbed by what they'd just witnessed. A few avoided eye contact entirely, unsure where they stood or how much they'd been part of the deception. Denise left through a side door without speaking to me again. Lisa followed. Neither looked back. My father stayed. He sat in the front pew alone while the room emptied around him. Didn't know what to say to him. I didn't know if it would have mattered. I turned and walked out. In the weeks that followed, I did what needed to be done. I contacted the hospital and got official documentation of my admission and treatment. I worked with David to review my estate documents and ensure my mother's trust was protected. I filed a formal complaint with the funeral home about the lack of verification procedures. I also changed my will, changed my emergency contacts, changed the locks on my house. Some boundaries you don't repair, you just rebuild them somewhere else. Here's what I want you to understand about this story. What my family did wasn't just moving too fast. It wasn't grief making people irrational. It was opportunism dressed up in black clothing and flower arrangements. They didn't confirm I was dead because they didn't want to. They didn't call back because they didn't need me alive for what they were planning. That's not confusion. That's strategy. I didn't fake my death. I didn't plan some elaborate trap. I was in a car accident. I woke up in a hospital, and I tried to reach my family through every channel I had. What happened after that was their choice. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to disappear. The lesson here isn't about revenge. It's about truth. It's about presence. It's about showing up in the exact moment someone is betting you won't. Family isn't just blood. Family is the people who check on you when you're silent, who ask questions instead of assuming the worst, who don't start dividing your belongings before your body is cold. If the people in your life don't meet that standard, you deserve to know that now. Because the ones who love you won't move that fast. And the ones who move that fast were never really on your side. So that's my story. One accident, one silence, one funeral that should never have happened, and one walk down a center aisle that changed everything. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been underestimated by your own family? Ever caught someone acting like you didn't matter until you proved them wrong? And if you want more stories about boundaries, betrayal, and what happens when people who've been erased decide to come back, hit that subscribe button. Until next time, don't disappear without telling someone you trust. And maybe keep a list of who asks about you first when things go wrong. You'll learn a lot from that list.